Hello, and welcome to this section where we will add authentication and authorization capability to the DevOps Buddy website. To activate security on our website, we first need to have a login form, and this is what we will be doing in this lecture. We will start by adding a login link to the navbar. This way we will be able to test the login form. We will then create a login controller to handle login actions and the Bootstrap login form. Finally, we will test the form by printing the content to the console, and we will close the Git flow workflow by merging this work to develop. Let's start by creating a new feature branch called login. You know the drill. First, let's make sure you're pointing to develop with the git command git checkout develop. Then, we can create a new login feature branch with the git commands git checkout -b login, git push -u origin login. Now we can add the login link to the navbar. We want it to appear on the right side to separate business journeys from administrative ones. We can start by opening the navbar.html page. Under the UL element which defines the home, about and contact links, we will create another UL element, only this time we will add the Bootstrap class navbar_right to instruct Bootstrap that we want the link to appear on the right. We can copy the existing UL element and add the navbar_right class to it. Then, we will simply add an li element and an anchor element within it with the th_href attribute set to @login and the th_text attribute set to navbar_login_text, to which we will assign the value login. Finally, we will make sure that the message property appears in the navbar section. If you have followed my steps, you'll probably need to move it from the bottom of the file to the navbar section in the messages.properties file. If we restart our application now and look at the navbar, we should see the login link appearing. If you hover on the link, you will see that it points to localhost 8080/login. This link won't work at the minute, as we don't have a controller to handle it. So let's create one. We can create a new login controller under the web controllers package. To do so, we right-click on the controllers package, select New, Class, and name it Login Controller. As usual, we need to annotate the controller with the @controller annotation. We can also create a constant to contain the view name. Let's call it Login View Name and assign it the value user/login. As a reminder, the first part of the view name defines the folder under the templates folder, and the second defines the view name. Now, we can create a method to handle the login action. We will call it login. This method is very simple. It just returns the constant that we have just defined. As usual, we will need to annotate it with the @request_mapping annotation, to which we will assign the value /login. The last thing we need to do is to create the login form. Similarly to what we have done with the contact us form, we can copy the index.html file and place it under the templates user folder, renaming it to login.html. Then, we can remove the current container, as we will be replacing it with the Bootstrap form. We are now going to create the login Bootstrap form. I'd like you to memorize these steps, as they are almost always identical. First, we create a Bootstrap container div. Within it, we create a Bootstrap row div. Within it, we create a div to center our form by using the Bootstrap classes callMeD6 and callMeDoffset3, as explained in the feedback journey lecture. Now we can create a Bootstrap well div, and inside it another div with the Bootstrap class text center, so that we can center the h1 and p elements text we are about to create. We will create an h1 element with the th_text attribute set to login h1 text, to which we will assign the value please sign in. Next, we will create a p element with the Bootstrap class lead and the th_text attribute login p_lead, to which we will assign the value sign in to get access to DevOps Buddy great features. We can now create a new div with Bootstrap class text left, as we will want the form labels text to be left aligned. Within this div, we will create a form element with the following attributes: ID with value login form, th_action with value @/login, and finally method with value post. Within the form element, we will create two input fields for the username and the password. As a reminder, in order for our Bootstrap form to have a beautiful layout, each form input field needs to be within a div element with the Bootstrap class form group, and needs to declare the Bootstrap class form control. So let's go ahead and create a div with the Bootstrap class form group. Within it, we will create a label element with the for attribute set to username and the th text attribute set to login username text, to which we will simply assign the value username. Then we will create an input element of type text with the ID and name attributes set to username. Please remember that these values need to match the label for attribute and the Bootstrap class form control. Then we can do the same for the password field. We can create a new div with the Bootstrap class form group. Within it, we can create a label element with the for attribute set to password and the th text attribute set to login password text, to which we will assign the value password. We will then create an input element, only this time the type will be password. We will define the ID and name attributes with the value password and the Bootstrap class form control. Finally, we will create a new div for the submit button. Again, we will define the Bootstrap class form group and within it a button element of type submit. For this button, we will define the th text attribute with value navbar login text. Here, we are using the navbar property text that we have created at the beginning of this lecture, as we want the button text to show login. We want to make sure that our messages.properties file is clean and organized. We can do this by separating the login properties from the rest and adding a comment that says, "This is the login form section." If we restart the application now and click on the navbar login button, we will see our beautiful Bootstrap form. Currently, pressing the button won't achieve anything, but we don't need to worry about it. In a couple of lectures, we will see how we will be using this form with Spring Security to protect some of our content. The last thing we need to do is to close the Git flow workflow. First, we will push this content remotely with the git commands git add star, git commit -m, add login form and login link to the navbar, and git push. Then we will merge the login branch to develop with the git commands git checkout develop, git merge login, and finally git push. In the next lecture, we will create a skeleton payload page. The page won't actually do anything, except from demonstrating that in order to see it, users need to be logged in. If you remember, in this course we are creating a website skeleton, not the actual selling content. Once you have completed the course, you'll have the tools to create beautiful payload pages. For example, you might want to sell items only to logged-in users, or you might want to create a blog website where only authenticated users are able to post messages and so on. Thank you for your time, and I see you in the next lecture.